Now that you've learned a little bit about TinkerCAD, we're going to go ahead and do our first design program. The product is going to be the cardboard piece we did for machine practice with all of the different cutouts and the hole in the middle of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename the object, and I'm going to make this called machine practice. You want to rename all of your files because, like we've talked about, TinkerCAD assigns a name to it, and for organizational purposes you want to have your own file name so it's easy to find. Hopefully through the videos you've learned how to rotate around, zoom in and out, and as we've mentioned in the past, it is a lot easier to use a mouse in this design program than it is to use the keypad on your Chromebook or laptop. The grid we've edited to place it in inches. We've left the sizing of the plate. The snap grid is down to 1/16 of an inch. We're going to start by pulling over a box, and we're going to use the overall size of the piece. We're going to start with the total area. If you made this out of cardboard, you would know that it's going to be 6 inches in length. So I select that area, I click 6, hit enter, and move that back onto the piece. If I go back to my measurements, I know it is 1 3/8 of an inch to the halfway point of my piece. So the total would be 2 3/4. I'm going to simply click here, 2.75. And then the thickness, we changed to 1/4 of an inch to make it easy to draw on our graph paper. Your cardboard is not going to be that thick, but we will stick with 1/4 of an inch. Now I have that basic shape, which would encompass all of these areas. I'm going to start with some of the simple pieces. I'm going to go through and remove this chunk here. I know it's 3/4 of an inch that will be left of cardboard there, and 3/4 of an inch that's left of cardboard at the bottom. Going back over, I need to pull in another box here. I want to make sure it fits and goes flat to the plate, the design area. If it is not, it will not cut out that entire piece. Going back, I'm going to have to reference this a couple times. I know that it is 1 inch into the piece. So I'm going to make that block 1 inch. And it is 1 inch. The next thing I need to figure out is if my total height of the piece right here, or width, depending on what you want to call it, is 2 3/4 of an inch. I know I need to leave 3/4 here and 3/4 here. That means I need to leave 1.5 inches full of material. What I have left is 1 1/4 inch of material. I select there, 1.25. I'm going to rotate around, and since we made the edits to that snap grid, I can move in 1/16 of an inch increments in different directions. I can count my blocks. I can also move the rectangle so I know if I'm in the right location. Over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. Over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I slide it over 2 spots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is an even number. I need to make sure my block and I'm cutting out is the full inch. Rotate around, that looks good. I'm going to lower this down because I don't need to be up so high. As long as it is above 1/4 of an inch, we shall cut through it. A reminder, the block is selected. I hold down Shift on the keyboard and I select the area and group it. That piece is now removed. I'm going to repeat this process to cut out this corner in the top. A 1-inch block, 3/4 inch. So it's going to be a rectangle, not a square. I bring the box in. Going to resize it by clicking on the outside. I know that this needs to be 3/4, which is 0.75 by 1 inch, and I'm simply going to rotate around so I can see a little bit easier. Use my arrow keys to move that block right into the corner. I don't need to be super high again, just at least 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to hold down Shift, select the block, and I'm going to group it. That piece is now gone. I'm going to repeat that procedure for this corner. 0.75. I'm in the corner, resize the height of it. Hold down Shift, select the rest of the block and group it. Sorry, not ungroup. I have all of those areas. The last thing I need to do is cut out the circle. It says it is a 7/16 of an inch circle. I am going to go back, use the cylinder, 7/16. If you do not know the size, you can use the calculator. Seven divided by 16 is 0.4375. I need to change that in both areas. 0.4375. Enter. So now it is a complete cylinder. The hard part may be locating where exactly this cylinder will go. Using the grid, I can tell that I have one block here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each block is an inch when I do the snap grid at 1/16 and I change the grid to inches. If I know I need to be 3 inches over, I'm going to be right with the center mark on this line here. The other measurement I need is 1 3/8 of an inch, halfway from the top down. I can rotate around to give myself the best view of it. I can even look underneath to make sure I'm in the center. You can tell I'm not directly in the center, so I'm going to use my arrow keys to get me closer. One full block, and halfway. One full block, one full block on the line. There we go. Hold down Shift for the last time, select the object, and there we are. We now have our cardboard cutout that we used for machine practice with all of the correct dimensions.